Okay, this is a quick tutorial on how to install Phonegap. You go to the Phonegap site, phonegap.com/install. You'll see this page here. You click on Node.js. That will download a package on OS X. Double click that. It will install a bunch of system files and JavaScript files. Once you have that done, you use the terminal to install Phonegap. Okay, for those who don't know, terminal is a text-based shell to interact with Unix, which is the foundation of OS X. As you can see, the first line is my computer, my user. Oops, that's not good. The first line is basically the starting directory to my user folder under min. You could Google a whole bunch of Unix commands if you like, but the basic is cd is to traverse the folders. ls is to list the folders. As you can see, if I do ls, I can see the folders in my home folder here. Sort of mirrors that. Alright, now to install Phonegap, as in the instructions, just do Phonegap create my app. The full commands are here. Command line interface. Once you have double click on the install package, you do this command. I've already done it, so I'm not going to do it again. You do sudo npm install -g Phonegap. Let's make sure our Phonegap has been installed. All you need to do is type Phonegap. It will take a little bit, and it will list some commands you can use: create, build, install, and so on, and some of the options, what's available on your system, and you could type Phonegap help if you need to explain or find out what a certain command does. Let's say you could do Phonegap help create. It will list some of the options and descriptions of what it does, and so on. Alright, let's create an app. Actually, let's traverse to a folder where we want our app to be created. Right now, if I try to create an app right now in my home folder, it's not the best way to go about it. Let's say I want to go into my documents folder. So you do cd documents. Now I'm in my documents folder. If I do ls, you can list all the file folders in my documents folder. Okay, so that's where I'm going to create my Phonegap app. I'll copy this over. I'm going to change this right here. The com.example.hello. It's basically an app identifier or an app ID. It's useful for iOS in the App Store, basically. It's basically a reverse URL. If you do like miamiuniversity.com or .org, whatever. But the com now it's in front and so on. So you can do com dot. I'm going to use my 2noodles account, and I'll name it. Let's give this a proper name. Hello. And the app's name will be Hello World. Once I hit enter, it will create an app in my documents folder. Name hello. And it has set up all the files or folders for me. Okay. Now that's the first step. Now you need to create a build specific to the operating system. I'm going to build an iOS. You might want to build Android or BlackBerry and so on if you have the SDK installed. I only have the Xcode iOS SDK installed. So the next step is to build the app. You need to traverse into the app hello. So you do cd hello. Now you're inside the sort of basics framework. You need to build the iOS. Phonegap build iOS. So it's going through detecting the SDK, building the files, and it is done. So we get back to our folder. As you can see, it built an iOS folder with all the files and framework built in. There is one thing that's not covered anywhere unless you do a little digging. Later on, when we need to include APIs or extra plugins in our app, like let's say you want to use the camera, the phone's camera, or the phone's accelerometer, compass, and so on. There's a whole bunch of APIs you can use. You need to install a Git plugin first. Git is basically a code source online. Let me show you as you can see, Cordova. This is you'll see a lot of this sort of inconsistencies. We've used Phonegap instead of Cordova as the sort of keyword. So as you can see, you add the plugin via the terminal. Plugin add, and then the URL of the source code. As you can see at the end here, Git. If you try to do this without installing Git first, it'll give you an error. What you do is you go to this website. You go to this Git download folder, or you go to this Git download page. I'll post the link. Choose whatever operating system you have. Let's say your Mac. Click on that. You get this disk image. Inside the disk image, just install it. Here's the README file. Just follow the steps to step 2. It's not really that difficult. Just double click, install it, and you're set. Go. If you do echo $path, this is the environmental path variable that tells the command line where everything is. If you see user local git in it, that means it's installed correctly. But that's just to make sure. Okay. We won't work with it now, but just install this and you'll be set.